on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's 9 p.m, I'm Patrick Christys, and it's kicking off in Birmingham.
Every match that the barbaric Israeli establishment or their teams are at, we will be at. Takbir! Allahu Akbar!
Big loyal fans of Aston Villa there, chanting the name of Alan Akbar, who is of course playing up front for them this evening. Pro-Gaza fanatics don't want Maccabi Tel Aviv fans there, but remember, the Gaza gang are the good guys.
Back in your car.
Nice. Also tonight,
bought a new suit this morning because my godmother said she would be watching.
Right, now he's saying that he didn't buy a new suit, so there you go. Also, well, that's one of the prisoners that David Lammy lost. He just handed himself back in today, and
That's it, yeah, it's down there. It's down there.
I can finally reveal details about Axel Rudikabana's parents. You won't want to miss that. Plus,
hate crime rises in England and Wales for the first time have been risen quite incredibly in the last 3 years.
So that's ITV's Adil Ray. He put a tweet out earlier which appears to show him coming out in favour of Sharia law. Also,
aged pregnant people, women, and those with pre-existing health conditions need to take precautions.
Well, the scandal hit BBC actually disciplined that newsreader for saying pregnant women instead of people, and a whistleblower reveals what it's really like at the Home Office. On my panel tonight, we have got senior reporter Guido Fawkes, Ellie Wheatley, former Tory MP, Alex Stafford, and ex-Labour Party advisor Matthew Larser. And it was a very happy bonfire night in the West Midlands.
I just go, hey, yo!
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. David Lammy can't get his story straight. Next.
Patrick, thank you very much. The top stories. Police have arrested 6 people ahead of the Maccabi Tel Aviv football match against Aston Villa. The force said a 21-year-old man was arrested for failing to comply with an order to remove a face mask, whilst a 17-year-old boy was arrested for failing to comply with a dispersal order. 3 other people were arrested for racially aggravated public order offences, and another person was arrested for breach of the peace. More than 700 police officers are on duty at Villa Park for the Europa League game this evening amid heightened tensions. Birmingham's Safety Advisory Group announced last month that visiting fans would be barred from attending tonight's game following public safety concerns. That's a move that the Prime Minister called the wrong decision. The Palestine Solidarity Campaign group have called for Israel's exclusion from international football. Prior to the game, police had warned anyone inciting hate or disorder would be dealt with directly. Elsewhere, the Prime Minister has defended his deputy David Lammy over his handling of a mistaken prisoner release by saying it was right. The Justice Secretary was setting out the facts to the best of his knowledge. Well, Sir Keir Starmer also added that he was also angry and frustrated by intolerable mistaken prisoner releases. One of the prisoners mistakenly released from Wandsworth Prison has handed himself in 3 days after walking free in error. 35-year-old William Billy Smith was sentenced to 45 months for fraud on Monday, but was accidentally freed just hours later. The mistake sparked an urgent manhunt until Smith arrived at the prison gates this morning. Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy says he was not equipped with all of the detail about the mistaken release when he appeared at Prime Minister's questions yesterday. Sir Keir Starmer says it's the government's job now to step up and fix the situation.
Let me just say how angry and frustrated I am that these mistakes have been made in releasing people. They're intolerable and they shouldn't be made. A lot of it comes from the burden and the strain on the system because of the failures of the last government. But I recognise it's our job to step up and to fix this, and we will. We're put in place an independent inquiry into these releases to find out what's going wrong. David Lammy, the Justice Secretary, has convened the governors to talk to them about what more can be done. But we must put the systems in place to ensure that this doesn't happen again, and we will.
But a second manhunt continues for 24-year-old Brahim Kadir Sharif, an Algerian national and convicted sex offender still at large after being wrongly released from Wandsworth Prison on the 29th of October. The government has called the situation utterly unacceptable, with prison governors summoned for crisis talks. Downing Street says restoring public confidence is their top priority. And the BBC has upheld 20 impartiality complaints over the way presenter Martine Croxall altered a script she was reading live on the BBC News channel, which referred to pregnant people earlier this year. Take a listen.
London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine has released research which says that nearly 600 heat-related deaths are expected in the UK. Malcolm Mystery, who was involved in the research, says that the aged, pregnant people, women, and those with pre-existing health conditions need to take precautions.
The BBC's Executive Complaints Unit said it considered her facial expression as she said this to express a controversial view about trans people. Those are the latest headlines for now. More from me in an hour.
For all the latest from GB News whilst you're on the go, get the GB News app. Scan the QR code now to download or visit gbnews.com/app.
Good evening, welcome along. Well, look, when the final whistle goes in Aston Villa versus Maccabi Tel Aviv, which will be at 10 p.m, I'm going to take you live to the ground. It's kicking off. So, as you know, the pro-Palestine mob, they wanted to ban all of the Israeli fans. They then mobbed up right outside Villa Park, which, by the way, people had decided to beam a video of my face, yes, this ugly mug, right onto the side of Villa Park. So they obviously don't like me very much amongst the pro-Palestinian section. I'll play you that clip shortly. But you know what it's nice to see? It's just nice to see a bunch of just dyed-in-the-wool Aston Villa fans just out enjoying a game.
Every match that the barbaric Israeli establishment or their teams are at, we will be at. Takbir!
Not sure who Alan Akbar is. I think he might be playing up front for Villa tonight, but I'll get you more detail on that. Hopefully he has a good game. Anyway, but yeah, so watch this space, because obviously we'll be monitoring that situation very closely and be going live as and when we have any more developments. But before that, welcome to the David Lammy Clown Show. Well, that's obviously fake, but Mr Lammy cemented his reputation as a weapons-grade village idiot yesterday with his performance in Parliament.
That's why I'm at the dispatch box, also as Deputy Prime Minister. We know that. We've deported more in the last year than they deported in the last 5 years. Please, I'm not going to take any lecture from the Honourable Gentleman. 13,000 more bobbies we are putting on the streets, kicking out 5,000 foreign criminal offenders. I've got to say to the Honourable Gentleman, he should do better.
Well, it emerged shortly after that 2 more criminals were released by mistake, prompting people online to do stuff like this. 'Cause to lose all offenders, that is just so typically me. Oh, baby, baby, oops, I free them again. Played dumb in the house, then shouted with pain. Oh, Lammy, Lammy, oops, I said get a grip. Oops, I freed them again. The Algerian sex criminal mistakenly released is still on the run, but there is some good news for the Deputy Prime Minister. Well, the fraudster, who was also released by mistake from HMP Wandsworth, just handed himself back in today. That's good of him. David Lammy likes to bang on about race and ethnicity. After yesterday's clown show, he put this post out on social media. He said he was very proud to be the first black person to answer at Prime Minister's questions. Well, firstly, he didn't actually answer anything, did he? And secondly, quite a few black people are now actually very angry with him for drawing attention to his race. This is my favourite quote online. So one man said, "I'd have preferred it if the first black respondent at PMQs hadn't forgotten his poppy, then worn it on the wrong side, behaved like a thug, ignored questions and freed more convicts than Amnesty International. Lammy is a dismal orgy of embarrassment." Grief. Kemi Badenoch also weighed in. "Don't drag black people into the mess you made of yourself this afternoon. Proud moments come from performance, not pigmentation." That's all he's got, really, isn't it? Banging everything on about race all the time. Remarkably, though, David Lammy has done 2 things today to make yesterday's shambles even worse. Firstly, the issue of the poppy. Mr Lammy said he wasn't wearing one because he'd been out to buy a new suit that morning. Now, just so we're clear, here he is saying, listen closely.
I bought a new suit this morning because my godmother said she would be watching.
Crystal clear. Crystal clear. Well, now it turns out that wasn't true. David Lammy's team are now saying that he meant that he'd bought a new suit for PMQs and that he was actually working very hard on the morning. He was working very hard. Well, that's not what you said, Mr Lammy, is it? And it looks to me like the Justice Minister found out an Algerian sex offender was on the loose on Tuesday evening and decided to spend Wednesday morning on Savile Row. Secondly, he did this interview where he tried to claim that the Algerian sex criminal was mistakenly released before he brought in new, stricter measures.
We have found out that the release that has caused concern this week was actually before I introduced those checks just a few weeks ago following the release of Kabatu. And the other prisoner was a court mistake, not in fact a prison mistake.
Right, well, again, like night follows day, it turns out that's not accurate either. The additional checks that Mr Lammy mentioned were actually introduced on Monday, October the 27th. The Algerian man was released on Wednesday, October the 29th. I mean, he can't even get his excuses right. Look, call me old-fashioned, but I think the person in charge of our justice system should at least be able to get their own story straight. Let's get the thoughts of my panel. Senior reporter Guido Fawkes, got Ellie Wheatley, former Tory MP Alex Stafford, and the ex-Labour Party advisor Matthew Larter. Ellie, this is... well, he's managed to make it worse. So, basically, it turns out that when he said clear as day there that he'd been out that morning getting a suit, which I didn't have a poppy on, turns out that wasn't true.
Absolutely, and by the way, he put it on the wrong lapel when he did get given by a backbencher a poppy. But
I think Bridget Phillipson pinned it on them. And that's not true, because I looked up on the Royal British Legion website and there isn't a right or wrong side.
Right, well, we all know.
But there's a reason why I have a buttonhole, though, so there clearly is.
But his story doesn't add up, because he said yesterday in a statement that my officials have been working all Tuesday night on this. Then today he said, I didn't find out about it until Wednesday morning, so yesterday morning. So that also doesn't add up. The whole thing, Calamity Lammy has just embarrassed himself in this situation. But the truth is, our prison situation is in crisis. Labour did inherit a flawed system from the Tories. They actually were the ones to bring in people only serving 43% of their sentence before leaving. But Labour is just making this situation so much worse. They are now going to scrap short sentences. They are also going to let out prisoners after serving just 33% of their sentence, and that's including sex offenders.
Okay.
So, I mean, this is not criminal justice here. It's criminal chaos, and Lammy is leading this.
So his story didn't add up, and then again, when it turns out he was trying to use that excuse of, well, actually, you know, I brought in these new rules and regs. And this guy was released before they came into force. Well, he wasn't. I mean, again, it's just not true.
Well, he's just not over his brief, fundamentally. He just doesn't know what's going on. He has no idea what the police are doing. He has no idea what the prisons are doing. I don't know what he is doing, frankly. The only thing he seems to be doing is actually making Keir Starmer look like a political genius. And actually did a great job. I mean, we were here last week talking about Rachel Reeves and the messes she was made. We're not talking about Rachel Reeves making mistakes now, so we've moved the heat away from that. We're talking about David Lammy making mistakes. But I think there's a worrying trend across the whole of the front bench of the Labour Party, is that every single one of them just clearly isn't up to their brief. And like basic things, they don't seem to know what's going on. And if they found out, and he clearly did find out about this, a sex offender, he's not just a sort of minor criminal, he's a convicted sex offender, is loose. Why weren't the details released to the public? Why are we not having like a nationwide or at least a London-wide manhunt to try and get a sex offender off our streets? And if I was that permission, I found out on a Tuesday evening that there was a convicted sex pest wandering the streets. Surely you put the picture out, get the public involved, try and bring him back to jail, rather than just pretending it didn't happen. I mean, this is a sex offender.
And also, he had a statement ready to go in the chamber, by the way, which he then said, I didn't use it because I didn't want to impose on the Met's investigation. The Met then came out and said, we gave him the green light.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I think all the Met want to do is actually get the person back into jail.
I'll just come to that. Luckily for the Deputy Prime Minister and Justice Secretary, the convicted fraudster handed himself back in today.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, the situation with prisoners being let out early is a shambles. I mean, the reason that Labour's had to introduce shorter percentage of sentences being served is because there ain't no prison places. And we all know who had 14 and a half years to build them, didn't do it, and yet now claims... Well, we mustn't forget about that Prime Minister's questions as well. Alex, let me finish, is that the Tory got... whatever he's called, I didn't know who he was, I forgot. James Cartledge, not a household name in his own household, is stood up and had his question ready, but he used all his other questions because they can't count to 6. I don't think Parliament was in a particularly good day, and then he had to make a point of order to ask the question, which was pretty embarrassing for the Tories.
OK, I mean, it's a nice spin, isn't it? I mean, there was definitely one man who was humiliated in Parliament yesterday, and I'm not really sure it was James Cartledge, but...
we literally didn't ask the question, Patrick. I mean, he could have skewered Lammy, and he didn't.
I think he did.
No, but he asked the question in a point of order at the end.
Everyone was waiting for the bombshell, which was a hut.
And he got up to do it, and then they forgot that he hadn't counted to 6. This shows how bad the Tory opposition is.
I see.
Well, you said bad. We're talking about it today, a day later, and it's still going on. I think it's actually good opposition.
Can I also just ask what it actually says about David Lammy as a person? So I think you have to be a special kind of stupid to have somebody hand you a speech, a statement, specifically about Remembrance Sunday and about how important it is, and to be holding that in your hand, and then to walk in a room with 650 people who are all wearing poppies, and to not think, have I got a poppy on? He didn't think... I mean, but... But I'm sorry, but I think anyone who's actually remotely patriotic would have remembered to wear a poppy.
Totally. But also, what about his team? Why didn't they say, hang on a minute, mate, you've got to put a poppy on? And the fact that he had to borrow a poppy off a veteran, he was wearing a veteran's poppy. He's not a veteran. That's also insulting in itself.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just don't understand what his team were doing, actually advising him. And clearly he just can't think on his feet. He's sort of panicked not having a poppy. And even when James Carter started asking the question about this, surely he would have realised, OK, Tories know about this convicted sex offender. I need to make my statement now and actually get on the front foot. And he just sort of, well, panicked. He panicked about his poppy. He panicked about the sex offender. He's just clearly not very good. All he could do was get really aggressive.
Well, got very aggressive, and then posted about how it was a real honour to be the first black person to answer questions at the Dispatch. And actually, that's all David Lammy's got, isn't it? The kind of the diversity angle on things. That's what he's made a career out of. That's what he's made a name for himself out of. He doesn't have anything else, does he, Matthew?
Well, I think he's a very talented politician. That's why he's the Deputy Prime Minister. He's clearly not had a very good few days. Look, on Poppygate,
When did he buy his suit? Go on, I
have literally no idea when he bought his suit.
Because he's still... I mean...
But can I just say on Poppygate? Yeah. Look, I mean, obviously, somebody's going to go onto Prime Minister's questions and make a reference to Remembrance Sunday, should have been wearing a poppy. They do fall off. I mean, whether it actually fell off or not, I mean, as far as we know, he didn't. But of course, his team should have checked it. And then, of course, it's one of those things when the person who kindly handed him one was a veteran and hadn't clocked that he shouldn't be handing a veteran's poppy to a non-veteran. Absolutely. Yeah, but I don't think that. But on the other hand, I think we can get a little bit over that. I don't think we can say that he's dishonouring Britain's veterans because he wasn't wearing one. I don't think
there is a case to be had, and a lot of people make this point about how easy it seems that some Labour politicians find it to lie. And when you are confronted in that situation, his first response, quick as a flash, was to say, well, I went out and bought a new suit this morning because my godmother's watching, and that's why. And then today it turns out that wasn't true.
Because he didn't want to admit the fact that if he'd known about this sex offender being let out on the loose accidentally, that he'd gone shopping.
It also looked a lot like a tailored suit, which I will say, you don't tend to get off the rack.
And also, you don't tend to get done in an hour either. So, yeah. I mean, look, it's a mess. We need to know exactly what happened. Then if he's misled the House, then he'll be held accountable for it.
OK, well there we are. Anyway, some stuff on David Lammy. It'll be interesting to see whether or not the Algerian convicted sex offender follows the fraudsters and hands himself into the authorities. But a spokesperson for the Ministry of Justice said the crisis in the prison system this government inherited is such that basic information about individual cases can take unacceptably long to reach ministers. On entering the House, facts were still emerging about the case, and the DPM, that's Deputy Prime Minister, had not been accurately informed of key details, including the offender's immigration status. No media story about the individual case was yet in the public domain, and it was and remains subject to a live police investigation. The DPM was asked questions about the release of an asylum seeker, as was confirmed after PMQs by the Home Office. The individual was not an asylum seeker. The Deputy Prime Minister waited until after PMQs and further facts had emerged before making a statement. Well, look, that clears that up. We can all move on.
Absolutely.
Oh, what a joke. What a joke.
OK, a lot coming your way. We are, like I said, going to be taking you live to Villa Park, where it's kicking off between some not Aston Villa fans and everyone else. But couldn't let you get going without finding out how you could be 40 grand richer this Christmas.
We're giving you the chance to win your entire Christmas this year paid for by us. First, we'll give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash so you can have a brilliant new year. Then we'll give you a further £10,000 cash to spend on all your Christmas presents, the decorations, even the tree. Christmas lunch, that's on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. And the best news? You'll get it all in time for the big day. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, some big developing news coming your way. Yeah, this is very much ongoing. I'll give you the latest shortly. Jewish fans have been banned from the Aston Villa match. The pro-Palestine mob have turned up. And, yeah, of course, as every Villa fan will know, that famous Aston Villa chant of Free, Free Palestine has been ringing around Villa Park. But before that, referrals to the anti-terror prevent scheme have surged to a record high. The majority of these cases have, quotes, no ideology. So, hang on a minute, is it right to claim that they're all far right? What's really going on? That's next.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Police standing by doing nothing as chants of death to the IDF are shouted at a very young, small woman holding an Israeli flag right outside Villa Park. How on earth has it come to this? I've got some absolutely astonishing clips for you on that very shortly when we hit the full-time whistle at Villa. But first, is it misleading now to say that the biggest threat to Britain is the far right? It's time for the head-to-head. Quite ironic, actually, given the clips I've just shown you. But anyway, the number of referrals to prevent the government's counter-terrorism scheme surged after the Southport murders last year. New figures released today have revealed that a record 8,778 cases were referred to the programme. So-called extreme right-wing concerns account for 21% of referrals, and Islamist extremism accounts for 10%. But those with no ideology have made up the rest of the cases. Alarmingly, a third of the cases are actually for children aged between 11 and 15 years old, with teachers and schools making the majority of referrals. So tonight I'm asking, is it misleading to say that Britain's biggest threat is the far right? Going head-to-head on this now are the founder of Tell Mama charity, Fiaz Mughal, and the human rights lawyer, Mahtab Aziz. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Tremendous to see you both. Fiaz, I'll start with you. Is it right to say that the far right is the largest threat in Britain now?
The answer to that is no, and the answer is pretty simple. Over the last 10, 15 years, we've had the Director General, Ken McCallum of MI5 in 2024, making clear that 75% of the workload of MI5 was based on tackling Islamist extremist threats. That's MI5. Sir Richard Moore, the outgoing head of MI6 in September 2025 in Istanbul, made clear in a speech that Gaza and the conflict was, quote, fueling radicalization globally. So we have MI5, MI6 making very clear that Islamist threats maintain a clear and present danger to the UK. However, we're not seeing that shown in the referrals, and there are very specific reasons for that.
OK, right. Well, I'll come back to you on those specific reasons, but I'll bring you in now, Mahtab. So your views on this? I mean, my concerns are that potentially teachers and schools are reporting people to prevent and counter terror programmes for just doing things like supporting Reform UK or something.
Well, I think since July 2024, since the Southport killings, there has been a phenomenally large increase in referrals. Apparently it's double that of Islamic terrorist cases. So we cannot deny that there has been a shift in the landscape of types of extremism, and it appears that the right-wing extremism has actually taken over in terms of the number of referrals. And in terms of, generally speaking, if we look around the incidents that are happening now, it is in fact tied to this type of extremism. I mean, the march that Tommy Robinson, led in the middle of September was a direct evidence of that.
Could I just ask you on that, Mahtab? Sorry, just about that. So, what is the evidence that particular march, that Freedom March or whatever it was called, was a hotbed of far right or criminal activity? I couldn't help but notice, I think the week before was Notting Hill Carnival, and the police had to make 100 preemptive arrests for that, mainly for weapons offences, and then they arrested several hundred people throughout it. Now, that did not happen at the Unite the Kingdom march, did it?
Right. Well, in actual fact, it's perhaps not so much to do with the number of arrests,
right,
but it's got more to do with the beliefs of those people that actually took part in the march. There was a programme that was shown whereby a man dressed himself up as a white person. He was actually a black person, but dressed himself as a white person, and he went around asking questions. And every person he asked, thinking that they're speaking to a white person, displayed such racist and bigoted views. Most of them said that they hate black people. They want them to be put out of the country, and they're taking a country over. So every person that he'd actually asked virtually said the same thing. So I'm afraid the evidence is there, and it's increasing day by day.
Oh, right. Well, Faz, I'll bring you back in because you appeared. Well, obviously anything you want to come back to on that, but also you said that you thought you knew the reasons why there were going to be these increased referrals for this so-called far-right activity.
First of all, I don't think it's accurate or fair to call the 100,000 plus demonstrators in the Unite March all extremists. So I just want to make that very clear. There were many people there. I may disagree with their political views, but many people there came because they were worried and frightened about migration. That doesn't make them extremists. Let me just make that very clear. So I think it's unfair to label all those individuals. Clearly, they were a number of people, a small number of people intent on causing harm, as there are in other demonstrations that we have seen, whether it's Gaza or other demonstrations we have seen. Now, let me just come back to the issue of why we're getting such a small number of Islamist referrals. First of all, there's no doubt that far-right referrals are increasing, but there is, without a doubt, when MI5, both the heads of MI5 and MI6 are saying that there are a number of global and international and national issues buffeting Islamist extremism and creating a bigger pool for radicalization, as Sir Richard Moore said in 2025, then why are we not seeing the numbers rise in the UK? And there's a reason. I have known, working with Muslim communities for 20, 25 years plus, that there are a group of Islamist groups that have grown exponentially in their social media outreach because of Gaza. Now, that being the case, they have been active for over a decade, undermining the prevent agenda. There has been this undermining which has been consistently happening in large parts of Muslim communities, not small numbers, undermining trust in the government and undermining trust in prevent. And that has significantly caused referrals to drop from Muslim communities.
Look, guys, I'm afraid we're going to have to go because we have got a bit of developing news coming out of Villa Park. So can I thank both of you for coming on? I do hope to talk to you again very, very soon. It's the founder of Telma Mafiaz Magar and the human rights lawyer Mahtab Aziz. Just on that, here you are, a bit of Villa Park action. Well, there are claims that there has been, quotes, calls for a Jew hunt at Villa Park this evening. I'll have all the details for you shortly. And I am going to be joined by the Daily Telegraph star columnist Alison Pearson. She's been doing a devastating interview with a whistleblower who has blown the lid off the asylum system. But before that...
Aged, pregnant people, women, and those with pre-existing health conditions need to take precautions.
Disciplining a presenter for referring to women as opposed to pregnant people. Plus, it's turned out, you're not going to believe this, hey, BBC Verify is actually rubbish. Got that next.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, we've got some wet weather moving into Portugal through Friday, showers across the Mediterranean, but if you're heading away on the weekend, it is looking much drier across parts of the Med. In the Canaries, plenty of dry and sunny weather. That wet weather spreading into parts of Portugal and through the Mediterranean. We've got an area of low pressure bringing wet weather towards Italy as well as further east as well. But as I said, into the weekend, it is looking much drier with plenty of sunshine and temperatures in the mid-20s in Tenerife.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening. This is your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Through the next 24 hours, it's going to be pretty cloudy for many of us. There will be a bit of rain around as well, and temperatures, if anything, are going to be dropping a little bit because we do have slightly fresher air coming in from the west. So whilst those temperatures will still be above average for the time of year, it's going to be a little bit less mild. Through the evening and overnight, a lot of cloud for many places. Some clear spells here and there, but most places sticking with the cloudy skies. A few outbreaks of showery rain around as well, particularly towards the southeast later on in the night as we head towards dawn. Now, because there will be quite a bit of cloud, it is going to be another mild night, but with that fresher air, and especially where we get some clear spells, well, it is going to be a touch chillier than it was last night. Starting off tomorrow morning then, a few showers across some parts of central Scotland. Further east and west, a drier start and some early sunshine as well. A few showers across parts of Northern Ireland, but also a couple of sunny breaks. Similar story across parts parts of northern England. It's down the eastern side of England, though. Here it's looking quite wet for some places as that heavier showery rain across the southeast pushes its way northwards. A drier start to the day across parts of Wales and western England. However, there is another band of rain that's going to sweep its way in from the southwest. That's going to make its way northeastwards. Could turn a bit heavy at times, particularly across parts of South Wales. We're talking 20-30 millimetres of rain in a few hours, so that could cause some localised impacts. Away from those two zones of wet weather, it will be often dry with some sunshine, but temperatures, if anything, a few degrees down compared to some recent days because of that fresher air I mentioned at the start. A quiet start for many on Saturday. Could be a bit of mist and fog around first thing, but lots of dry and rather sunny weather at times too. But there will be some rain towards the far west, and that's going to push its way eastwards as we go through the weekend. So I think Sunday's looking a bit wetter for many of us, but still relatively mild. Bye-bye.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every match that the barbaric Israeli establishment or their teams are at, we will be at.
Oh, the famous Aston Villa chant of Allahu Akbar rings round Villa Park yet again. Yeah, more on that ongoing debacle taking place there. Anyway, before that, the BBC presenter has been disciplined for correcting pregnant people to women. But wasn't she just stating facts? Plus, the corporation's fact-checking unit, called BBC Verify, they are now in trouble as well. There's quite a lot to go at here. So Maxine Croxall was disciplined for correcting pregnant people to women during a programme in June.
Aged pregnant people, women, and those with pre-existing health conditions need to take precautions.
The broadcaster ruled that her facial expression breaches their impartiality guidelines. Really, I mean, I'd be in trouble, wouldn't I, all the time? But that came on the same day that it emerged that the corporation was forced to withdraw totally false racism allegations. BBC Verify claimed that car insurance quotes were higher in areas with large ethnic minority populations. But according to a whistleblower, the story was based on flawed out-of-date data. Joined now by the former BBC executive producer, David Elstein. David, thank you very much. Tremendous to have you on the show. First things first, then. So Maxine Croxall just stating biological fact was a problem for the Beeb, was it?
Well, I think making comments with your face whilst being a newsreader hasn't cost you your job yet.
No, I just did it. Actually, I didn't even realise I did it. I just did it.
But at the BBC, it's frowned upon. It's ludicrous, trivial, and you know the BBC is just so full of nonsense at the moment. It doesn't surprise me.
Oh, so glad you said the word nonsense there. I was worried for a second, David. But it does come after one of the series of leaked reports about the BBC involving them essentially being, what would you say, encapsulated by the trans lobby, really. That came out yesterday. The Daily Telegraph are doing a series of these revelations, aren't they? And then today we've got the disciplining of that female presenter there for doing it. It's not good luck for the Beeb, is it?
Well, bear in mind that the trans Asylum issue was just one of 7 or 8 that was brought up by this dossier sent by an outside advisor, Michael Prescott, to the BBC board. And it's in its own way, symptomatic of a lot of things that are going wrong at the BBC. It's an indication of a certain mindset and of a series of failures inside the BBC. A failure of recruitment, a failure of training, a failure of professional standards, and a failure of regulation. But above all, a failure of accountability. The BBC simply isn't accountable. It needs to be.
Well, quite. And when this latest one, I mean, the icing on top of the cake for me is always anything to do with BBC Verify, because the clue's in the name, of course. It's got to be the creme de la creme of anything. I think last time I checked, they have something like 61 members of staff and a budget of about £3.3 million. A lot of money, I think. Huge numbers of staff. And they decide to dedicate their time to doing things like finding out whether or not car insurance is racist. At least if they did that, they could do us the courtesy of getting their facts right on that. So, you know, just BBC Verify needs to have a long, hard look at itself a bit. Maybe do a report on themselves.
Well, it's a bit weird. I mean, I regard it as a marketing exercise, quite an expensive one. And I would call it BBC Justify rather than BBC Verify. Because it's all part of the internal structure. Funnily enough, a decade or more ago, a BBC Director General had to resign over a Newsnight film that libelled a peer called Lord McAlpine and basically called him a paedophile. The following Monday, BBC Panorama did an excoriating report on the Newsnight film, demonstrating how badly made it had been. Nothing like that happens at the BBC anymore. It's now a solid front being presented. Trying to complain about the BBC to the BBC is largely a waste of time. Taking complaints to Ofcom is also not great, because you can complain about a single programme, say the Panorama on Trump, but to complain about an entire culture, that's nothing to do with Ofcom. That's to do with the way the BBC is funded, and the BBC's funding system has to be changed.
Yeah, and as you alluded to there, very often they get to mark their own homework as well. And you know, I just think there are other broadcasters that may be held to a different standard than the BBC, and it's rather annoying sometimes. But David, look, thank you very much. It is a real pleasure to talk to you, and I hope to talk to you next time, maybe a bit more length as well. It's David Elstein there, is a former BBC executive producer, spokesperson for the Beavers, told us, whilst we don't comment on leaked documents, when the BBC receives feedback, it takes it seriously and considers it carefully. We've already transparently and publicly acknowledged these 2 errors, including publishing one in our annual report, and have put new guidelines and training in place around our use of statistics. Well, just use the right ones. Coming up in just a few minutes' time. They are the hooligans. So hooliganism is taking place right now outside Villa Park, and it is the pro-Palestine mob yet again who are doing it. I've got some awful clips to play you, but before that, the Daily Telegraph star columnist Alison Pearson has done what I think is probably the interview of the year with a Home Office whistleblower who's blown the lid off the asylum system. You won't want to miss it.
I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here at GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device, and as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
All right, in a few moments' time, we're going to take you live to Villa Park in Birmingham, where, of course, it is yet again kicking off with the pro-Palestine brigade. But before that, this is the Telegraph's star columnist Alison Pearson, who did what I think is probably the interview of the year, actually. A brave Home Office whistleblower has blown the lid off what she calls an asylum system built to fail, alleging that dangerous criminals, rapists, suspected terrorists are being waved straight through Britain's asylum system. The caseworker, who's known only as Nikki, claims that she was apparently ordered to grant asylum to an Afghan man who had been arrested multiple times for exposing himself in a children's play area. But remarkably, those aren't even the worst details. I'm joined now by the star columnist at the Telegraph, Alison Pearson. Alison, tremendous to see you again.
Lovely to see you.
So go on. So just talk us through what you think really are the worst bits of this interview.
Well, headline, Home Office and government playing Russian roulette with the safety of the British people, specifically women and children. Nikki, who came forward, all credit to her, putting her job on the line to expose what she finds to be absolutely horrific. She said if people knew what was going on, they would be absolutely appalled. Everyone knows the situation's getting worse. We're getting a almost daily report, aren't we, of some rape or abduction or something. So, yes, there are countries, specific countries, where they can't send them back. Afghanistan, Eritrea, Sudan and Kuwait.
Because that's actually a bit of news, because we all thought that was the case, but now we know, don't
Yes.
we? You just cannot be sent back.
It's almost impossible, and the reason for that is that it's not. They think it's not safe for them to go back. And of course, the point I'm making, the point Nikki's making, is whose safety are we concerned about here? So this particular Afghan man, although there are thousands of them, that Nikki was told, his claim is that he is going to be politically difficult for him to go back to Afghanistan. So his human rights are he can't be returned. But he's been in a park exposing himself, is done for indecent exposure, may well be on the sex offenders register. She's had people up on rape cases who they're told you have to get them through, and they're then told, well, if you won't say yes, somebody else will. There's enormous pressure to clear the books, so it's just get them out, get them out, get them out. And apparently they all want to hit their weekly targets. So Friday is a bumper day for saying yes.
Talk to me more about that. So at the Home Office, they have targets for the amount of asylum claims they need to process.
Individuals.
Yes. And then if they've not hit those targets, on Fridays, they'll just approve people.
Yeah.
But this is nuts.
Well, we know that when they have tried to do some independent assessment of it, they've said only 5% of them have been done properly at all. So I'm not, you know, I'm a journalist. I've had many, many years of journalism. This was so deeply shocking to me. And Patrick, I am enraged, right? How dare the Home Office run the risk of these 600 more migrants across today? They're not even doing the backlog for this year, which is 35,000. They're still on the 12 months before. So it's industrial scale men, many of whom pose a real threat to women and children.
There's another revelation here, which is that we've covered stories in the past about how they might pretend to be gay, or they might pretend to be Christian, so they can't be sent back to a country where both of those things would face persecution. But there's something else they're doing now as well, isn't there?
Oh, they pretend to be women.
So blokes are pretending to be women?
They say they are women, yes. Yes, so they could do, I think something that really struck me, so Eritrea, most of the African applicants now are pretending to be Eritrean because Eritrea is the country they can't be sent back to. So Nikki said you asked the nationality question, what's the capital of Eritrea? What's the flag of Eritrea? Guess what? They've managed to look it up on the internet. It's amazing. So they're all pretending to be Eritreans. The reason they can't go back to Eritrea is because Eritrea has enforced military conscription. What's that got to do with us?
Oh, hang on a minute. So we can't send people back to Eritrea because if we sent them back there, they'd have to serve in their military?
Yes, that's the reason. And that would be against their human rights.
So we have to let them live here?
We have to let them live here because they can't, because someone else's country, and it's around the country. Just before I came on, Dorset police are looking at 119 sexual prosecutions going through at the moment. 44% of those prosecutions are asylum seekers living in asylum hotels in Dorset.
44%, say that to me again.
It's 116 sexual offence cases in Dorset, of which 44%.
So we've imported 44%, really, of the alleged sex offences in Dorset?
Yes, yes.
Right, well done, everybody.
At our expense.
At our expense.
What is it, almost 6 million a day. But yes, Nikki's, she said it's a carousel of excuses. They can say, I'm a Christian convert. She'll say, what's Easter? They'll say, a chocolate egg. She said, no, have you heard about this bloke called Jesus? No, they haven't. So that's 1 year, 2 years, and then they come back, and then they said they've decided they're gay. And they said, you didn't mention that before. And then there's this thing called further submissions, and that's endless. That is just endless.
Look, Alison, I see what I wish was endless was this interview and conversation. I could talk to you about this all day. I want to thank you genuinely for what you've done. I don't know if there's going to be a follow-up or whatever. If there is, we'll be all over that as well. Yeah. But tremendous work, and I hope that it encourages more whistleblowers to come forward.
I do too.
Because that's how we can get this out.
That's how we can get it out.
Alison, thank you so much. The wonderful Alison Pearson there of the Daily Telegraph. I've got the Home Office have been on. Well, they are doing something. We take all allegations seriously and committed to addressing any concerns appropriately. However, we do not accept the characterisations of these concerns presented. The integrity of the UK immigration system is paramount. We operate within a robust framework of safeguards and quality assurance measures to ensure that all claims are thoroughly assessed, decisions are well-founded and protection is granted only to those who meet the criteria as well. Right, we're gonna have to go for Alison Pearson's Head Explodes, but when we come back, I'll take you live to Villa Park because it's kicking off.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening. This is your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Through the next 24 hours, it's going to be pretty cloudy for many of us. There will be a bit of rain around as well, and temperatures, if anything, are going to be dropping a little bit because we do have slightly fresher air coming in from the west. So whilst those temperatures will still be above average for the time of year, it's going to be a little bit less mild. Through the evening and overnight, a lot of cloud for many places. Some clear spells here and there, but most places sticking with the cloudy skies. A few outbreaks of showery rain around as well, particularly towards the southeast later on in the night as we head towards dawn. Now, because there will be quite a bit of cloud, it is going to be another mild night, but with that fresher air, and especially where we get some clear spells, well, it is going to be a touch chillier than it was last night. Starting off tomorrow morning then, a few showers across some parts of central Scotland. Further east and west, a drier start and some early sunshine as well. A few showers across parts of Northern Ireland, but also a couple of sunny breaks. Similar story across parts of northern England. It's down the eastern side of England though. Here it's looking quite wet for some places as that heavier showery rain across the southeast pushes its way northwards. A drier start to the day across parts of Wales and western England. However, there is another band of rain that's going to sweep its way in from the southwest. That's going to make its way northeastwards. Could turn a bit heavy at times, particularly across parts of South Wales. We're talking 20-30 millimetres of rain in a few hours, so that could cause some localised impacts. Away from those two zones of wet weather, it will be often dry with some sunshine, but temperatures, if anything, a few degrees down compared to some recent days because of that fresher air I mentioned at the start. A quiet start for many on Saturday. Could be a bit of mist and fog around first thing, but lots of dry and rather sunny weather at times too. But there will be some rain towards the far west, and that's going to push its way eastwards as we go through the weekend. So I think Sunday's looking a bit wetter for many of us, but still relatively mild. Bye-bye.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
We could be delivering the perfect Christmas to you this year. There's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 the best year yet. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family. There's £1,000 to spend in your favourite supermarket. And a festively themed GB News goodie bag, and we'll get it all to you in time for the big day. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
It's 10 p.m, I'm Patrick Christys, and it's kicking off in Birmingham.
Every match that the barbaric Israeli establishment or their teams are at, we will be at. Takbir! Allahu Akbar! Takbir! Allahu Akbar!
Yes, you'll be pleased to know that Alan Akbar is playing up front for Aston Villa tonight, but pro-Gaza fanatics, they don't want Maccabi Tel Aviv fans there, but just you remember, the Gaza gang are the good guys.
Back in your car.
But Aston Villa fans, well, they don't want them there. Actual Aston Villa fans told the pro-Palestine brigade to jog on. I'm going to go live to Villa Park, where the final whistle, I think, has just gone. So there we are. Also tonight...
That's it, yeah, it's down there. It's down there.
I've been waiting a long time to do this. I can finally reveal details about Axel Rudy Cabana's parents. Plus...
Hate crime rises in England and Wales for the first time have been risen quite incredibly in the last 3 years.
That is ITV's Adil Ray, and today he appears to have come out in favour of Sharia law. On my panel tonight, we are joined by senior reporter at Guido Fawkes, Ellie Wheatley, former Tory MP Alex Stafford, and ex-Labour advisor Matthew Larser. And it was, I tell you what, it was a really just a happy, wholesome, family-fueled bonfire night in the West Midlands. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. The traditional football song of Allahu Akbar is ringing around Villa Park. Next.
Patrick, thank you very much. The top stories. Police arrested 6 people ahead of the Maccabi Tel Aviv football match against Aston Villa this evening. If you're watching us on television now, these are live pictures coming from Aston Villa, the stadium just outside the stadium, where you can see fans leaving as that match has just come to a close. Well, on those arrests, the force said a 21-year-old man was arrested for failing to comply with an order to remove a face mask. A 17-year-old boy was arrested for failing to comply with a dispersal order. And 3 others have been arrested for racially aggravated public order offences and another for breach of the peace. More than 700 officers were on duty at Villa Park for the Europa League game amid heightened tensions. Birmingham's Safety Advisory Group announced last month that visiting fans would be barred from attending tonight's game following public safety concerns, a move Sir Keir Starmer said was the wrong decision. The Palestine Solidarity Campaign Group have called for Israel's exclusion from international football. Prior to the game, police had warned anyone inciting hate or disorder would be dealt with directly. Elsewhere, the Prime Minister has defended his deputy David Lammy over his handling of a mistaken prisoner release by saying it was right. The Justice Secretary was setting out the facts to the best of his knowledge, Sir Keir Starmer said. He also added that he was angry and frustrated by intolerable mistaken prisoner releases. One of those mistakenly released was prisoners released from Wandsworth Prison has handed himself in 3 days after walking free in error. 35-year-old William Billy Smith was sentenced to 45 months for fraud on Monday. He was accidentally freed. Just hours later, the mistake sparked an urgent manhunt until Smith arrived at the prison gates this morning. Deputy Prime Minister Mr Lammy says he was not equipped with all of the detail about the mistaken release when he appeared at PMQs yesterday. Sir Keir Starmer says it's the government's job now to step up and fix the situation.
Let me just say how angry and frustrated I am that these mistakes have been made in releasing people. They're intolerable and they shouldn't be made. A lot of it comes from the burden and the strain on the system because of the failures of the last government. But I recognise it's our job to step up and to fix this, and we will. We're put in place an independent inquiry into these releases to find out what's going wrong. David Lammy, the Justice Secretary, has convened the governors to talk to them about what more can be done. But we must put the systems in place to ensure that this doesn't happen again, and we will.
Meanwhile, a second manhunt continues for 24-year-old Brahim Kadour Sharif, an Algerian national and convicted sex offender still at large after being wrongly released from HMP Wandsworth on the 29th of October. The government has called the situation utterly unacceptable, with prison governors summoned for crisis talks. Downing Street says now restoring public confidence is their top priority. And Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's Prince title and HR8 style have been formally removed by the King. Details of the letters patent have been published by the Crown Office in the Gazette, the UK's official public record. King Charles's decision to effectively banish Andrew from the monarchy, removing his birthright to be a prince as well as his dukedom, followed growing controversy over his links to paedophile financier Jeffrey Epstein. For many years, Andrew faced allegations he sexually abused the late Virginia Giuffre after she was trafficked by the financier. He has always strongly denied all of the allegations made against him. Well, now the US Congress has written to Andrew requesting an interview with him in connection with his long-standing friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. Those are the latest GB News headlines for now. More from me in an hour.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are, online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Good evening. It's kicking off in Birmingham tonight.
Every match that the barbaric Israeli establishment or their teams are at, we will be at. Takbir!
Just some good, dyed-in-the-wool Aston Villa football fans there chanting the name of their favourite striker, Alan Akbar. Aston Villa played Maccabi Tel Aviv.
From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea!
Baby killers. You are a dirty Zionist, genocidal baby killer. That's what you do. Baby killers. You babies. You kill babies. End of story. You kill babies.
I thought death to the IDF might be the kind of thing that you could get nicked for now, but anyway, you'll remember that Tel Aviv fans were banned from going after pressure from Gaza Gang MPs.
Many residents have raised concerns about the football match, which is due to take place on the 6th of November. Maccabi Tel Aviv. We've all seen those harrowing images from Amsterdam. I've started a petition to boycott Maccabi Tel Aviv. There is no space for violence or any thugs to come into Aston or indeed Birmingham. That is why I urge everyone to sign up to this petition. Boycott Maccabi Tel Aviv.
I don't know about you, but most of the horrific footage I saw from that Amsterdam incident he's talking about involved basically there being a Jew hunt with Maccabi fans having their heads kicked in, but maybe we just saw different things. The PM said that the decision to ban them was a mistake. It makes it look like Jews aren't welcome in Birmingham, an area with a huge Muslim population. Now, one of the vocal people behind the ban is comedy lawyer and wannabe MP Ahmed Yaqub.
At the Villa ground, we've had meetings with a few locals and in particular youths, and they will be here joining the protest which will be taking place at the Aston Pavilion, Trinity Road, Villa ground, 6 p.m. on the 6th of November.
Here he is giving some expert legal advice.
Bat in your car, but you can't demonstrate that you have a sporting event. You can get into trouble with the police and the prosecution and see yourself in court for possession of an offensive weapon. So if you do have a baseball bat, for example, for a sporting event, then make sure it is clear and you have other equipment with it as well. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you to show that you have a reasonable excuse to have this bat. Always remember, there's a defense for every offense.
You see, that's his tagline. There's a defence for every offence. But it's stupid, isn't it? Because it needs to be there's a defence for every alleged offence. Otherwise, he's just admitting that all of his clients are already criminals. But whatever. It's important to remember this is a very non-threatening evening, OK? The balaclava-wearing, peace-loving, pro-Gaza fans are a really sweet bunch of lads, which is why they did this video beaming my face onto the side of Villa Park yesterday.
Maccabi Tel Aviv.
Maccabi Tel Aviv. Maccabi Tel Aviv.
Maccabi Tel Aviv.
Maccabi Tel Aviv
will now no longer sell tickets to the Europa League match at Aston Villa over safety concerns. The initial decision from the authorities in Birmingham had been to deny Israeli fans the right to attend the match.
Well, thanks for the free advertising, lads. Palestine protesters even tried to get the match totally cancelled by obstructing the Maccabi Tel Aviv players from getting to the ground. Volunteers from the local Palestine Action Group, I think it is, or Palestine Solidarity Campaign, were sent out to try to find the players, essentially being accused of organising a Jew hunt. That's what it is. Seriously, being told, look for them in hotel lobbies, all of this stuff. How grim is that? The Palestine mob say that they're all Aston Villa fans. Well, this is what happened when actual Aston Villa fans turned up. I don't think they like them very much. Yeah, it's almost like those people with the Palestine flags aren't real Villa fans. No, but now, I just want to say, OK, it's pretty clear who the real hooligans are. It's this lot. Do you think they'd be happier if they just got a girlfriend or something? Campaigners against anti-Semitism hit back with these mobile vans. Well, the area outside Villa Park is so hostile that Tel Aviv players had to be smuggled into the stadium in a completely unmarked, unbranded bus. Now, remember, this isn't about Jews. Oh, no. This is about what violent thugs the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans are. Bit strange, that, though, isn't it? Because I think this was last night, actually. Turkish side Galatasaray played against Ajax in Amsterdam, and, well, here's what happened. Local media is reporting that Galatasaray fans were armed with knives and that multiple arrests were made. Now, Galatasaray are actually coming to England, I believe, to play Manchester City at some point soon, I think. I wonder if the Gaza gang will be saying that they should be banned. No, they won't, of course, because those fans aren't Jewish. Well, we're going to go now to GBNews' national reporter, Jack Carson, who's been outside Villa Park for us. Jack, thank you very much. There's obviously a very strong police presence where you are. What was the mood like earlier on? It looked pretty tasty from some of those clips.
Well, it was certainly tense. You know, any kind of reaction against the Palestine protests here caused an equally loud reaction. We saw at times before the game an interaction between Aston Villa fans, as you would have just played there, Patrick, the police and those Palestine fans. We saw one lady earlier stand in front of the Palestine protesters with an Israeli flag. Suddenly the crowd started to chant death to the IDF, and that lady was taken away by police, mainly for her own safety when she held up that Israel flag in front of them. And we also saw at half-time there was seemingly a firework thrown from the Palestine protest side into the Aston Villa stadium, where some fans had come out for a smoke at half-time. So seemingly it's been a very tense atmosphere all evening here, with it only taking one or two people or one or two incidents to really then start to cause more trouble for the police, which is why they've got such a heavy policing presence here. Just to the left of me, all the way down there, you might be able to see a line of police officers. They are currently surrounding the remaining Palestine protests. We've spoken to the people who organised the protest today. They said their protest ended hours ago, and these are just leftover people who are protesting for Palestine and against Maccabi Tel Aviv and against Israel being included in UEFA competitions. But it has demanded this huge response from not just the West Midlands Police, Patrick, 25 other forces tonight, West Midlands Police say, have been here supporting the West Midlands Police colleagues. They say to keep the local community safe around Birmingham and to make sure everyone, they say, gets the high level of service from them. But we know that they have arrested 6 people tonight. One is a man who was 21 for failing to comply with an order to remove a face mask. One is a 17-year-old boy for failing to comply with a dispersal order. 3 people arrested for racially aggravated public order offences, and 1 person for a breach of the peace. And of course we spoke to GBNews presenter Josh Howie and others who were at the counter protest, and they have basically wanted to come here today because they very much made Birmingham feel like it was a no-go zone for. And you played a clip of Ahmed Yaqub here, who we spoke to earlier on as well. He said that this was about banning Israel from the UEFA competitions because he says Russia was dealt the same fate after their invasion of Ukraine. That is one of the reasons why they say they wanted to be here and protest today. But of course it is very different, Patrick, to what they said when the decision from the Safety Advisory Group came out. They said that they wanted to stop the fans coming because of that hooliganism. Different protest entirely. I put the point that you made, Patrick, about the Galatasaray fans and the violence that fans. I put that to Ahmed.
All right, OK. I'll tell you what, the connection's just going a little bit, Jack, so sorry, we'll go back to you now. I'm sorry for that, because you did a tremendous job for us all night there outside Villa Park, so thank you very much, Jack Carlson. But I think we kind of got the gist of it, really. There are some other concerning details that are emerging in the last few moments, which is that before the game, there were some members of the British Jewish community and also just people who wanted to turn up and show solidarity with the Jewish community who attended. And they were put in what they have been described as a Jew pen around. So they basically fenced them in. They literally fenced the Jewish community in to a little pen, and around them were surrounded by the pro-Palestine. This is a terrible look, Ellie.
It's terrible. It's really quite sinister, isn't it? I'm actually appalled by these scenes. And by the way, the police have had a long time to prepare for this, so they knew what was coming. And yet, as you say, these pro-Palestine, in many cases, hooligans chanting death to the IDF, and that is inciting harm, inciting violence. That should be clamped down on. And do you remember, Patrick? I think it was actually I was sitting on your show when it was announced that the Tel Aviv vans would be banned, and at the time Starmer tweeted live when we were live that this is appalling and this is the wrong decision, and we said, we'll give him some time, you know, he might do something about this. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. He didn't. He's done nothing, and look at what is happening now in Birmingham.
But that just really sums up what's going on with this current government. Something happens, Keir Starmer or David Lammy say, isn't this terrible? But they don't do anything in this. They usually forget they actually have power. They are in the government. Keir Starmer could have got involved, could have said to the police, you need to allow this to happen. They had 700 officers there from 25 different police forces. They had clearly the police manpower to actually deal with any rioting or any upsets there, but they still banned the Jewish supporters. I think it's a really damning
Well, in the
message.
end, that's not quite true, because in the end, the Maccabi Tel Aviv said they didn't want to take up their allocation of tickets, even if it was offered to them. It was pointless to move the match.
It's insulting what's happened to the Jewish fans.
The government didn't do anything in order to promise protection for these Jewish fans.
There are serious question marks over the police, though. So as Ellie was saying, you know, they've had ages to prepare for this. And what you were looking at there, I don't know if you could have told from some of that footage, but they are right outside the ground. Right outside the ground. You know what? There you go. So that's like the kind of the walkway. I think you can see the bits of the stadium there, can't you? Really?
Yeah.
Why on earth would you let them protest there? I mean, thankfully it didn't kick off. But the reason it didn't kick off is because a lot of other people showed a huge amount of restraint. And I just don't understand what the police are playing.
Why there wasn't a wider cordon around it? You would have thought that.
And I think if there's any other fans, if it's far-right people protesting, the police would be a lot more robust. So I think the fact that they've allowed these protesters to get so close to the stadium presents a security risk, but also shows the two-tier nature of what's going on.
Sorry, there's one, I think maybe one on the front row. It's just always just the lads, isn't it?
And it was also sad seeing that there was a photo of a woman who was just carrying an Israeli flag. She was escorted away from the seats by the police, and these guys are allowed to do...
But there's something in that, Ali, isn't there? There's something in that. There was this very small, kind of quite diminutive woman. I don't know how old she was. It's difficult to tell, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it turned out she was anything from like 17 to just maybe a slightly more petite lady. And she's there with an Israeli flag, basically on her own. And these lads, the lovely bunch of lads, they rock up, they're screaming at her, they're shouting at her, and she has to be taken away for her own protection. It's almost like some of the people that we see in that video on our screens right now don't really like women very much, not just the Jews.
Look, the big question, what are they actually protesting against now? There's a ceasefire in Gaza. What are they actually protesting for? The fans were banned anyway, so why are these counter-protests still there? What are they aiming to achieve by being there tonight?
Go on, Matthew.
No, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I think that, you know, there were clear questions for the police to answer. There were clearly questions, I mean, because in a sense, the Maccabi Tel Aviv saying they weren't going to come, which happened very soon after the government said it would do something. I think if they'd said they wanted to come, it would have been moved, because I think the government would have forced it through. But the government should have ensured, the Westminster police should have ensured that there was a cordon around that, because frankly, never mind if you were a counter-protester. What if you're just an ordinary Villa fan going to that match? Why do you need that with your kids? Why do you need that?
Can we actually just zoom out a bit and recognise the fact that this is a massive problem for Britain?
Yes.
Right? So now it's that bit of Birmingham. But let's be honest with you, there are other parts of the country as well. There's parts of the outskirts of Manchester, places like Rochdale, there's places like Rotherham, there's places like Leicester, for example, there's huge parts of London. And there is a common denominator here, isn't there? Which is that there appears to be a very angry, very mobilised, very unified, very aggressive and very intimidating mob that come under the umbrella of the Pro-Palestine Brigade, but, you know, frankly, all too often are, you know, quite hardened members of the Muslim community.
Absolutely.
That is a problem, clearly. I'm saying it's a problem because does anyone watch that and think that that's a nice, normal, cohesive society?
By the way, Patrick, you know, it was only a few weeks ago that there was a terrorist attack in a synagogue where Jewish men died because of this sort of narrative. Well, in that case, it obviously was ideological. I'm not suggesting that it is in this case totally there. But there is clearly a problem that we need to crack down on, and giving into it is not going to help unite the country.
What we see there is only going to increase, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's quite telling this a football match. Now, you know, since the 70s and 80s, where there were some absolute disasters for British policing around football matches, as well Hillsborough and other such instances, the British police have got sort of policing of football matches down to a T. They can deal with thugs, they can deal with protests. So what I don't want to know is why today couldn't they seem to deal with the protesters? Why they've had decades of having really good work, but today they're getting so close to stadium.
I think there's a question about Birmingham. I think there's a question about whether the political establishment in Birmingham is, you know, is independent enough to be able to deal with these issues, which I think was the issue about the committee that some people came in for some criticism that it may need to think again. And I think clearly Birmingham, never mind, but Britain, but particularly Birmingham, has not covered itself in glory tonight, because whatever your view is about the Israel-Palestine conflict, that is not an edifying spectacle for anybody, including members of the Muslim community.
I just want to say as well, there was a WhatsApp message that I know I brought up on the screen earlier on. You might have missed it because there was a lot going on, to be fair. But in that WhatsApp message, it is alleged that people were trying to organise so they could hunt out where the Maccabi Tel Aviv players were staying, that they could hunt out where any fans who might have wanted to go, you know, British Maccabi fans who might have wanted to go, what hotels they were in, look in your hotel lobby and all of this.
I mean, presumably there were Israeli visitors in terms of the press as well. So, I mean, the idea that you're going to have to police every hotel in Birmingham is outrageous.
They'd identify them, not necessarily because they're all wearing football shirts, because it'd be a bit stupid, I would have thought, at that moment in time to walk around with a Maccabi Tel Aviv shirt on. You'd have to try to identify them based on who looks Jewish. That's just a...
I mean, I wouldn't want to be Jewish in Birmingham tonight.
And I just think all this begs the question is who is in control of our country? Who's in control of our police? Who's in control of our football now? It does seem the government, the authorities, the people who we all look up to, who should be controlling our country, are not in control. There are other groups, other individuals who can do what they like and run roughshod over our established rules and practices. And I think it's a very, very sad indication of where the country's going.
No, I agree. Well, obviously I agree. It's ridiculous. It's just ludicrous. It's maddening. Anyway, we are just going to take you, just before we move on to another very important story, actually, but Jack Carson is back at Villa Park for us. Jack, thank you very much. Sorry to come away from you earlier on. You've been doing such stellar work for us all evening under difficult circumstances. Could we just get a kind of wrap from you then, really? A quick summary of your day at the Villa.
Well, it's not been my usual football match, Patrick, but certainly the policing presence that we've seen is something really that I've never seen personally before, you know, in the 3 years that I've been reporting in terms of football matches and the size of the police presence of football matches. We've got some of the police horses that have been deployed here this evening just coming our way as well. You know, essentially before the end of the game, those police vans lining every inch of where those Palestine protesters were protesting to create not just a barrier of police between the protesters and the Villa fans, but a barrier of police fans. And essentially we saw at half-time, and when these Villa fans came into contact with these Palestine protesters, it's clear from the counter-protest that we went to with those people here supporting Maccabi Tel Aviv that wanted to show a voice of support, that they have felt intimidated by the protest here this evening. The protests themselves say that they were here to try and get this match cancelled, to try and get Israel to be boycotted from UEFA competitions. That is a very different stance to what initially this whole story was about, which was the issue and claims from their side that Maccabi Tel Aviv fans were hooligans and were dangerous after what happened in Amsterdam last year. Before you lost me last time, Patrick, I was saying that I put to Ahmed Yacoub about the situation that happened in Amsterdam with Galatasaray, and I said, would you support trying to get Galatasaray fans banned from coming to Manchester City in January? He said that was football hooliganism. What he said they saw from Maccabi Tel Aviv was racism. That is something which I'm not sure everyone here would agree with, but it's clear the police have had to be in huge presence tonight to keep everyone safe.
Jack, thank you very, very much. Really good stuff. Jack Carson there has been on the scene for us, and that is an absolutely cracking line, isn't it, when you think about it? So Ahmed Yacoub, that comedy lawyer who's also a baseball bat enthusiast by the looks of things, was saying that so Galatasaray, a Turkish football team, the fan base will predominantly be Muslim. He was asked about whether or not he thought they should be banned after kicking off in hours. Well, no, because that's football hooliganism. But what Maccabi were guilty of, that was racism. Oh, OK, there we go. Right, OK, a big story when I come back. I'm finally able to say the things about Axel Rudy Cabana's parents that I wanted to say roughly a year ago. So we're going to be talking about all of that. But there's never a good time to do this, least of all now. Here's the Great British Giveaway.
We're giving you the chance to win your entire Christmas this year paid for by us. First, we'll give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash so you can have a brilliant new year. Then we'll give you a further £10,000 cash to spend on all your Christmas presents, the decorations, even the tree. Christmas lunch, that's on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. And the best news? You'll get it all in time for the big day. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
The Daily Mail are going on a headline, woke gardens to tackle absenteeism, and stop asking people's questions, it makes them anxious. Now, of course it makes you anxious.
It's your job.
Yeah, so I mean, I get what they're going, and it's very easy to go with the popular view here. But I think they're not saying all pupils. They're asking to take into account that there may be in certain sets of the classes neurodivergent people, autistic, for whom it does make it. So I do work with children who've been in care, and sometimes I've got people in the room who are autistic, and because I'm energetic and stuff, I've got to be very careful how I approach them. So sometimes, if I'm asking a question, I won't even look.
But Chris, I don't think that you can break up. You can sit and say, well, we've got Dawn, better not ask her that. Chris, I can't
better not,
ask
she
him
won't
this.
know.
And whatever. You know, you can't keep differentiating, cutting things up like that. I think you have to relook at what teachers are expected to do.
I think if we're preparing children for the outside world, we have to be tougher with them than we are. Now, you can't wrap them up in cotton wool.
Okay.
The world does not revolve around them. They have to toughen up, sorry.
And you will be asked questions in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true. So are you saying then exclude them from the classroom so that you can concentrate on the main body?
Yes.
Okay. Well, okay. I mean, okay, that might be a solution. Well, so you go back to having schools that cater for.
Do you see when people say questions make you anxious? Yes, I was anxious.
Yeah. We all are. I was anxious. I was anxious when I went to the track, and as a World Cup athlete, I was still anxious when you go to the final. Yeah, we get that.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
OK, welcome back. Very, very serious story, this. It's one that I've been really wanting to cover since the day of the Southport attacks. The parents of vile killer Axel Rudy-Cabana have now given evidence at the Southport inquiry, and it makes for very tough listening. But the hearing was told this, that Axel Rudy-Cabana's mother made a zip-it gesture to his father as he was on the verge of telling a support worker about his son's troubling behaviour. Mr Rudy-Cabana told the inquiry he was shocked to discover, quote, a small arsenal of weapons in his son's room, including a bow and arrow. And on the day of the attack, Mr Rudy-Cabana admitted that he did nothing when his son left the house to carry out his vile crimes. This was despite finding an empty packet that had would have had a knife in it, and his son not there. He did nothing. And Axel Rudy-Cabana's mum went back to bed. Saw he'd gone, the knife was gone, and she just went back to bed. And they were simply, quotes, hoping for the best. Well, I mean, it's just insane, isn't it? I'm joined now by the Vice Chair of the Epping Forest Reform UK. It's Orla Minahan. Orla, thank you very, very much. Well, I've been wanting to talk about this for quite a while. Yeah, his parents are not blameless, are they?
Of course not. I mean, the thing is, you know, as you will find out, Patrick, there is many, many wonderful things that come from parenting. But parenting as well can be heartbreaking, and there are choices that you have to make. And heartbreaking for the people whose beautiful daughters were murdered, horrendous. But for parents, when you've got a child that you know, clearly know, is unhinged, for, you know, for want of a better phrase, he was clearly a very, very, very disturbed boy. Your responsibility as a parent to that child and to the people around him and the community is to protect them from your child. You are responsible for him. They knew that he was unhinged. They knew he wasn't well. They said in an article that I read that they were scared living with him.
He threatened to kill his father numerous times. That's another detail that's emerged now about it. He threatened to kill his father multiple times, so they knew what he was like.
And was it because they were scared of him? Were they scared of being sort of disloyal? Because, you know, you have a child, the last thing you want to do is, you know, sort of hand them in. But I'm sure, and I've had this conversation with parents many times, if you found out that your child, or you knew your child, was mentally unwell, mentally unstable, or a danger, surely you would hand them in. That is, you know, that's your job.
It's also emerged that Axel Rudy-Cabana had not been allowed out of the house on his own since March 2022, when he was reported missing and later found on a bus carrying a knife. The next time he went out on his own was the day he committed the attack. And he walked out of the house and they didn't call the police. His mum went back to bed. This is according to what's been going on in the inquiry now. I mean, another thing here as well is a quote from his father where he actually blames the school that Axel Rudikabana went to. He said that they sent a, quote, beautiful boy to that school and that by the time they sent him back to us, he was broken, disappointed, traumatised and changed completely beyond belief.
Was it a boarding school or did he come home at night?
Yeah.
So, you know, ultimately, you can send children to school. Of course, they're going to be, you know, they're going to have children around them that are going to influence them. But he's still in your control. He still lives with you. I've seen pictures and papers, I'm sure you have, where he had boxes and knives and, you know, resin or whatever it was, under his bed. I mean, my son is exactly the same age as he was when he murdered those beautiful girls. And I'm pretty sure that I would know what was going on. If he was living under my roof, it would be my responsibility to deal with him and get the authorities to deal with him if I didn't think I could.
It's also worth noting as well that, again, quoted on numerous different news sources, and at this inquiry as well, the parents of some of the victims, anyway, have absolutely rubbished the apology and all of that has come from Axel Rudikabana's parents. They're saying that they'll
never get over it. They'll never get over it. And you know, anybody that says they can forgive, oh, I forgive this person, I simply don't believe them. You just couldn't. They must be absolutely heartbroken daily.
Yeah, well, look, Ola, thank you very much. Tremendous to see you. Tremendous to have you in the studio, although albeit under, you know, very depressing circumstances, of course. I sense there's a bit more to come there. Now, like I said, that is something that I was wanting to bring to you for a while, but now finally we are able to, given the fact that there's an inquiry into it here. You know, Axel Rudikabana's parents are not here on this show to defend themselves. They say that they have apologised for their son's actions and they claim to be absolutely devastated by the whole thing. Coming up, I have all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages, apparently breaking on the front of the Daily Telegraph. Oh, it's more pressure on the BBC. There you go. I mean, how many scandals will it take? Stay tuned.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, we've got some wet weather moving into Portugal through Friday, showers across the Mediterranean, but if you're heading away on the weekend, it is looking much drier across parts of the Med. In the Canaries, plenty of dry and sunny weather. That wet weather spreading into parts of Portugal and through the Mediterranean. We've got an area of low pressure bringing wet weather towards Italy as well as further east as well. But as I said, into the weekend, it is looking much drier with plenty of sunshine and temperatures in the mid-20s in Tenerife.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening. This is your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Through the next 24 hours, it's going to be pretty cloudy for many of us. There will be a bit of rain around as well, and temperatures, if anything, are going to be dropping a little bit because we do have slightly fresher air coming in from the west. So whilst those temperatures will still be above average for the time of year, it's going to be a little bit less mild. Through the evening and overnight, a lot of cloud for many places. Some clear spells here and there, but most places sticking with the cloudy skies. A few outbreaks of showery rain around as well, particularly towards the southeast later on in the night as we head towards dawn. Now, because there will be quite a bit of cloud, it is going to be another mild night, but with that fresher air, and especially where we get some clear spells, well, it is going to be a touch chillier than it was last night. Starting off tomorrow morning then, a few showers across some parts of central Scotland. Further east and west, a drier start and some early sunshine as well. A few showers across parts of Northern Ireland, but also a couple of sunny breaks. Similar story across parts of Northern England. It's down the eastern side of England though. Here it's looking quite wet for some places as that heavier showery rain across the southeast pushes its way northwards. A drier start to the day across parts of Wales and western England. However, there is another band of rain that's going to sweep its way in from the southwest. That's going to make its way northeastwards. Could turn a bit heavy at times, particularly across parts of South Wales. We're talking 20-30 millimetres of rain in a few hours, so that could cause some localised impacts. Away from those two zones of wet weather, it will be often dry with some sunshine, but temperatures, if anything, a few degrees down compared to some recent days because of that fresher air I mentioned at the start. A quiet start for many on Saturday. Could be a bit of mist and fog around first thing, but lots of dry and rather sunny weather at times too. But there will be some rain towards the far west, and that's going to push its way eastwards as we go through the weekend. So I think Sunday's looking a bit wetter for many of us, but still relatively mild. Bye-bye.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome. especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Here's a first look at tomorrow's newspaper front pages. The Daily Telegraph. Not Ed Davey, I wish. Tim Davies, sorry, the head of the BBC, must explain or quit, says Johnson. Basically, the BBC chief is at the centre of a biased reporting storm. Story down the side there, Prince Andrew is summoned by Congress over abuse claims. Let's go to the Sun now. Tell us what you know, Windsor. Andrew is summoned to US Congress, quiz over his links to pedo Epstein. So, well, I mean, is he going to go? I don't know, we'll see. The Daily Mail, what double standards? BBC newsreader broke rules by pulling a face because her script said pregnant people, but bosses don't seem to care that Panorama actually doctored Trump's speech. There is a huge double standard going on, I think, at the BBC at the moment, is there not, with all this kind of stuff at the moment? I mean, yeah, you had Gary Lineker who was allowed to keep his job and quit on his own terms, but you've got a female newsreader there who just pulled a face at the phrase pregnant.
Why are they so quick to reprimand her, and then when these reports coming out that the Telegraph is, you know, slowly dripping this dossier about, there was another example today about BBC Verify investigation saying that car insurance, I think you were talking about it earlier, car insurance are biased towards ethnic minorities, and that was totally false.
Yeah.
And it was an absolutely shocking story, that, and what do they respond with? We take all allegations very seriously, blah, blah, blah. This is just, oh, God, it's awful.
But what I understand
women.
is they seem very proud that they've gone after her. The BBC generally seem proud that they've caught her out. Aha, we've got you now. They don't seem to understand that the mood of the public has changed. They seem very happy they've sort of gone after this.
But it was also months ago. I mean, I seem to remember this at the time. She got a lot of love for it, actually. And it got. I don't think anyone was thinking about this now.
So what actually happened is a complaint went in, and it's a very slow process.
Well,
and this is the
well, I think from someone who's trans,
or from the pro-trans lobby.
Or from the pro-trans
and
lobby.
So it's called the ECU, the Editorial Complaints Unit. Speaking as a man who used to have to respond to these complaints as a BBC producer, has finally ruled. But you think they might have, in the light of the Telegraph's
symptomatic of how terrified and captured by the trans lobby the BBC is.
Well, that's one of the issues that came out in the Telegraph story. Look, it's genuinely shocking to me. I mean, the Telegraph has been revealing that the independent advisor, who was a former Sunday Times journalist, who was brought in as one of the independent advisors to the editorial standards unit, he then commissioned a guy called David Grossman, who I used to work with. He's a very respected journalist, was on Newsnight for a long time, and then he looked into several of these issues. And then the shocking thing is that he then realised, as a frontline journalist of decades standing, that these things should have been going on. He then went to the BBC Executive Board, which includes all the senior management, not just from news but across the BBC, and they rejected it, and that's what's shocking.
Just to summarise what we've learned from the BBC in the last few days, it's everything you thought was happening, but now we know definitely is. So making stuff up, then lying to the public about it, trying to cover it up, being completely captured by the pro-trans lobby, doctoring President Trump's speeches, and inventing a story about racism.
And we all have to pay for it.
Yes.
It's absolutely insane. You know, listen, I'm not against sort of bias in journalism. I'm quite clear about my views. But you can't pretend that you're totally neutral, expect people to pay for it, and then lie about stories. It's unbelievable. I'm honestly shocked.
And have the boss class,
I don't know how Tim Davies can last.
Well, this is it. Now, it's on the front of the Daily Mail. It's on the front of the Daily Telegraph. This is running and it's got legs, this story, hasn't it? And it's clearly not going away. Does he have to go?
Yeah, I think this is... You cannot continue the way things are going. The BBC, which used to be one of the jewels in the British crown when it comes to our state, our culture, is just failing again and again and again. And actually, they seem... Let's go back to... They seem proud of what they're doing. They no longer are trying to be impartial. They're no longer trying to be that respected news source. They clearly have an agenda. They keep pushing it, keep pushing it, keep pushing it, and almost don't seem to care because they are untouchable. Their fee keeps going up, and the politicians won't do anything about it.
Absolutely. Look, we're going to move on. I will just read this statement out for the BBC and say there is some developing Prince Andrew news, and I can feel people roll their eyes a bit when I do this, but it is big news. But a spokesman for the BBC said, while we don't comment on leaked documents when the BBC receives feedback, it takes it seriously and considers it carefully. We've already transparently and publicly acknowledged these 2 errors, including publishing one in our annual report, and have put new guidelines and training in place around the use of our statistics. Well, more of those front pages. And yes, Prince Andrew, will he be hauled before the US Congress?
He doesn't have to go.
Oh.
He won't be...
Well, we'll talk more about this in a minute.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
The Sun reports the former Duke of York has been given 3 months to move out of Royal Lodge and take his 72 teddy bears with him.
The Times also leads on the former Prince Andrew, claiming that he quit his fight to stay in Royal Lodge after losing the loyalty of his ex-wife.
Telegraph says Sir Keir Starmer was under pressure from his own MPs to remove Andrew from the royal line of succession.
And the Daily Mail claims the Prince and Princess of Wales. They're the ones who really pushed for Andrew to be ousted.
And The Guardian, it's another Andrew one, I'm afraid, talking about the 6-figure sum and annual stipend that he might be getting.
Well, joining us to go through what's making the sense of this is writer and podcaster Lewis Oakley and Susan Holder, author and journalist. And let's start with the mounting pressure on Sir Keir Starmer from his own MPs to do more to remove Andrew from the royal line of succession.
Don't waste your time. At the end of the day, the country is in a mess. We've got, poverty, we've got appalling rape convictions, we've got, cost of loan crisis. Focus on the real problems. This is so speculative, and in the future, it's done. Just
what they
leave
should
it.
have done is when they got involved before, in 2013, when they did the Succession to the Crown Act, which changed you going in age, in gender order, it goes in age order, which actually doesn't make any difference to what's coming, because very cleverly, Kate had George, Charlotte, and then Louis.
Very clever of her.
But they didn't backdate it. If they'd backdated it, it would have gone to Anne, and Andrew would have been way, 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 way down. And that's what they should have done, but they didn't, and there probably was no need to. But it always works out better for us as a country, doesn't it, than when we have a queen. So actually,
yeah, we're very good with
Queen. Elizabeth I, Victoria, Elizabeth II.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. More front pages now. The Metro. Chill, Bill. One wrongly freed prisoner, returns with a grin. Others still on the run. Yeah, he's that fraudster handed himself back in. The I-Paper, Labour splits at the top as new deputy leader tells Reeves don't raise income tax and break trust. This is fantastic. The only reason David Lammy was acting as Deputy Prime Minister yesterday was because the last Deputy Prime Minister resigned over an issue with stamp duty. They've elected a new Deputy Prime Minister, and that is Lucy Powell. Leader, who is now going to be a new Deputy Leader. And Sir Keir Starmer's just sacked her, and she hates him. So now she's there.
Things are going swimmingly in government. They're going very well.
Exactly. The Guardian, for what it's worth, Powell in challenge to Reeves over tax plans. Labour should stand by its manifesto commitment not to raise the VAT or income tax or any of that stuff. So that's the new deputy leader. So, I'll stick with this then. So Labour splits at the top.
Yep. Well, I mean, as you said, Powell's very upset that she was sacked, and she is doing as much as she can to sort of divide within the party. She's doing well. I actually agree with her on this one. I don't want Reeves to break her Labour manifesto promises. She will. She's actually just apparently told the OBR that she is looking at raising income tax by 2p and then cutting national insurance tax by 2p. So for some people, not if you earn more than £50,000. Then your national insurance won't be cut by 2p. Right. And so they're going to spin it like, well, this won't affect the working person.
We all see through it.
Well, of course, because your self-employed person, your pensioner, your landlord, so many people will be hit by this, 22%.
So people are going to be hurt because she doesn't want to break her own fiscal rules?
Yeah, and which...
Well, it's a way of raising money from people who aren't working. I mean, it is dancing on the head of a pin.
The whole thing is absolutely...
Who are not on PAYE, basically. So including pensioners.
Right. Yeah, and it's absolute. But by the way, her fiscal headroom has shrunk because of her policies that she put in place. Her budget measures from last year.
How bad is it for Keir Starmer that has Lucy Powell actually started yet?
Yes.
The day she was elected leader. Yeah, she's elected leader, but she's not in the government, so she's not bound by collective responsibility. But she can say what she wants.
The parliamentary party, the parliamentary PLP, would elected her, so she's got them on side. She's got the unions on side, and they all back her.
But it's open warfare, isn't it?
This has just got games for when Starmer goes and Reeves go. We all know that's going to happen sooner rather than later. Everyone's now jockeying for position. Everyone's talking about it with Ed Miliband or whatever. She obviously is a big supporter of Ed Miliband, who's desperate to go for the job again. It's all just positioning for when Starmer goes, and he will go in a matter of months.
Probably at the same time as Kemi, to be fair.
Oh, no, Kemi's doing a great job.
Alex, I very rudely cut you off earlier, and this was specifically about Prince Andrew. Do you mind if we bring up one of the papers? I think the Sun's got Prince Andrew on the front of it.
I have to say, I'm not very passionate about this Andrew debacle now, but I was just going to say that Congress doesn't actually have powers to subpoena foreign nationals to the US, so I don't think he actually will go. There was a story, I think it was in the Times or the Mail last week, about Andrew refusing to sign any statements from the royal family which acknowledges Epstein's victims. So if he's not willing to even do that, I doubt he's willing to go over to...
And there's a bit of an issue because the Democrats are the ones on the committee are the ones who want to get him over, and they don't have a majority at the moment, so therefore they will probably be outvoted by the Republicans, because I don't think that Donald will want to upset his bestie, the King.
Yeah, but on the other hand, he's been sent in exile base. He's lost everything. He's going to get a free holiday out of this and go to America. He's living the dream.
I suspect they only pay economy there.
I wonder if there's an empty house in Manhattan he can stay in for a few days. Maybe go for a nice walk around Central Park or something. But
no Pizza Express though.
No Pizza Express. No time of year will it be so hot he sweats? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah. So basically, the other royal story is the Sun have got now, after yesterday breaking that shocking global world exclusive of Meghan Markle acting again, because she hasn't been for the last 8 years. They've now got exclusive pictures of her on the film set of a new film.
Do we know what
it's called? Close Personal Friends. It's got someone in it called Brie Larson.
Oh, yes.
OK.
Wasn't she on Desperate Housewives?
And Lily Collins, who I think is the daughter of Phil Collins.
Yes, you're right.
Right. Neither of whom I could pick out of a lineup, by the way. But Meghan Markle, she's playing herself.
That's what's weird about it.
She's just such an attention seeker.
I can imagine what version of her are they going to cast, or what are they going to script in this? Is it going to be like, it's all got to be about impressing Meghan? She's so on top of it and all of that. I can imagine.
Such a homemaker.
Oh my God.
Opening up a bag of nuts and pouring it into another plastic bag, tying with a ribbon.
The petals, the rose petals.
The petals.
Yeah, absolutely. No kids anywhere in sight, of course. Someone else's house, you know. Anyway, well, luckily for you, we've got another hour of this. So when we come back, we're going to be giving you a more detailed look at all of tomorrow's front pages. And I will, of course, be giving you the very latest from the fallout of the pro-Palestine brigade, kicking right off outside an Aston Villa match there. So don't go anywhere. I'll see you in, I don't know, 2 minutes.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening. This is your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Through the next 24 hours, it's going to be pretty cloudy for many of us. There will be a bit of rain around as well, and temperatures, if anything, are going to be dropping a little bit because we do have slightly fresher air coming in from the west. So whilst those temperatures will still be above average for the time of year, it's going to be a little bit less mild. Through the evening and overnight, a lot of cloud for many places. Some clear spells here and there, but most places sticking with the cloudy skies. A few outbreaks of showery rain around as well, particularly towards the southeast later on in the night as we head towards dawn. Now, because there will be quite a bit of cloud, it is going to be another mild night, but with that fresher air, and especially where we get some clear spells, well, it is going to be a touch chillier than it was last night. Starting off tomorrow morning then, a few showers across some parts of central Scotland. Further east and west, a drier start and some early sunshine as well. A few showers across parts of Northern Ireland, but also a couple of sunny breaks. Similar story across parts of northern England. It's down the eastern side of England though. Here it's looking quite wet for some places as that heavier showery rain across the southeast pushes its way northwards. A drier start to the day across parts of Wales and western England. However, there is another band of rain that's going to sweep its way in from the southwest. That's going to make its way northeastwards. Could turn a bit heavy at times, particularly across parts of South Wales. We're talking 20-30 millimetres of rain in a few hours, so that could cause some localised impacts. Away from those two zones of wet weather, it will be often dry with some sunshine, but temperatures, if anything, a few degrees down compared to some recent days because of that fresher air I mentioned at the start. A quiet start for many on Saturday. Could be a bit of mist and fog around first thing, but lots of dry and rather sunny weather at times too. But there will be some rain towards the far west, and that's going to push its way eastwards as we go through the weekend. So I think Sunday's looking a bit wetter for many of us, but still relatively mild. Bye-bye.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Huge split at the top of the Labour Party. Their new deputy leader, Lucy Powell, has basically gone to war already with Sir Keir Starmer and the Chancellor over tax rises. Complete open warfare now in the Labour Party. Ridiculous, really, when you consider how long they've been in power. Prince Andrew has been subpoenaed. He, the US, anyway, Congress, wanting to go and testify in Congress over his links to Jeffrey Epstein. But does he have to go? Will the King make him go? And what double standards? The BBC is in tatters this evening.
We're giving you the chance to win your entire Christmas this year paid for by us. First, we'll give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash. Then we'll give you a further £10,000 cash to spend on all your Christmas presents, even the tree. Christmas lunch, that's on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around, a nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome along to Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition. And it's done. Aston Villa versus Maccabi Tel Aviv is over. Aston Villa won